Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family, in their passion, in their careers, and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. Carrie, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
We're here at RoarCon in Dallas. We're on the 20-yard line at the Cowboys headquarters.
I have been practicing my high kicks
And how's it
all
going?
week. Well,
Really?
I kicked my coffee onto my daughter's shirt. So far, so
Appreciate
bad.
it.
She did not.
Yeah. What is it about MSPs that attract you so much? Why do you like them?
Well, why did I like them at the beginning?
Sure.
I didn't intentionally set out to work with MSPs. I was referred to an MSP back when I owned a cold calling business that would cold call for anyone. And then we were introduced to some peer groups, and we realized that there was an enormous gap in the skill set that MSPs possessed. They were wonderful technical experts. They were incredible engineers. They were problem solvers. I would describe them as integrators more often than not if you were an EOS shop. But they really didn't want to sell, and they didn't want to learn. And there was lots of people to teach them, but they wanted someone to do it for them. And I think that that is a gap that we were able to fill for a long time.
And why'd you stay with them?
It was a gold mine.
How so?
Well, there's 45,000 of them in North America. There is only 8,000 of them that have more than $2 million in annual recurring revenue, and $2 million isn't enough to have a legacy or generational wealth building exit. So everybody wants to get from that 2 million top line to that 5 million where they've got the magic EBITDA that is life-changing.
So how do you help MSPs now?
Well, after Ian sold Doberman and I sold Managed Sales Pros, we started Fox & Crow Consulting. My husband
sold his MSP.
Yes.
And you sold the cold calling business.
Yes. And then we wanted our own legacy. And we feel like entrepreneurs change the world. They provide employment, they come up with innovative ideas. I didn't really want to get pigeonholed back into only working with MSPs for the rest of my career, but that's where our connections are, that's where our network is, that's who knows us. So that's how we ended up consulting for MSPs. Ian primarily does the consulting, and I do all of our business development.
And what's your goal at an event like this, RoarCon here?
Well, Ian was speaking at this event, so
Did a great job.
Yeah, it was a great talk.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with that one. So when I come to an event, what I like to do is, one, talk to vendors to see who might promote us to their user base. So who needs content on sales? Who needs content on M&A planning or exit strategy? So I will talk to vendors and ask them who will take content from us. You want free content? We'll give some to you. And then I'll talk to MSPs. I usually work the tables. I don't like doing the booths anymore. I don't want to spend 12 hours standing in a booth anymore. And I found that I did most of my business got done around the cigar pit. So
Yeah, a big cigar, yeah.
Not here though. You can't smoke at the Stars.
That's true, right? Yeah. What can MSPs do better to grow?
How long do we have? MSPs should be focused on organic growth, but 60% of their growth should be coming from their base. And what I'm seeing a lot of is MSPs that are afraid to raise their prices because they don't want to lose their legacy clients. So they're not pumpkin planning, and that's a book I recommend all MSPs read. They start their business, and like all of us, right? We need the revenue. We don't want to give up the revenue. And we also feel this sense of loyalty to the businesses that came to us first. Like the companies that first did business with me when I was no one in the channel, I still honor my legacy pricing for them.
Wow.
And that's 10 years ago, and we charge more than double that now. I'm saying it like I still own the business. I don't.
Right.
But they have to be able to look at their business dispassionately, and that's something that I think it's a skill that doesn't come until much later. Right? You feel bad asking for more money. Like these people trusted you, and now you're coming back to them. But that is the easiest time for other people to poach your clients. You can't support a company at that legacy rate. Whatever you were charging 10 years ago, it's not enough. And you didn't talk to a lawyer, and you didn't build that 5% increase in every year. And you're adding new security products constantly. Your margins are dropping. You deserve to make money. And there's something like it's dirty. It's like, oh no, we can't have 20% margins. Like that's not fair. I go on Reddit all the time and see people complaining about what other people are charging, and I'm like, buddy, that's what you should be charging. But you also have to add the value that comes with that price increase. You can't just jack your prices up to $300 a seat. You can't give Corvette prices and, I don't know, Kia service. So we see a lot of that. There's a huge kind of, I call it the danger zone, where you raise your prices, but you don't raise your service levels. So you got to fix your service levels, and then you deserve to make more money. If you're going to go and fix all the problems, go and ask for more money. And if they're not going to give you more money, go find a client that will. Don't be afraid to eliminate your lowest paying, highest problem clients.
It seems so simple. It seems to me many MSPs don't grow because the owner kind of gets in the way sometimes. They're tech-led, they're not sales and marketing savvy. Your thoughts?
Well, I can share a personal story. Running managed sales pros, when we finally adopted a strategic planning methodology, we were into our third annual, and we did a SWOT analysis, and my team said that I was the biggest threat to our business.
Whoa.
I paid attention to things that weren't important. I would get hyper-focused on something that wasn't a priority for us. I would distract the team. I would just all of a sudden drop things on people's laps because I heard something at a trade show and I've decided that we're going to do this, even though we've got a defined process now. And they suggested nicely that perhaps I should just GTFO. So I agreed to take a year-long sabbatical, and I booked a year of vacation travel.
Right, I remember this.
And then the pandemic happened, so you guys can all thank me for that.
You wrote. Yeah, that's right. You took a year off. I remember this.
So,
and what did you learn from this?
From my year sabbatical, I didn't get to take one. I came back to sell my business. We couldn't staff during the pandemic, so we had a lot of employees that just weren't equipped to work from home and weren't able to get internet, and it didn't work for us. But my lesson and takeaway was, if you have an executive team that you trust, you should be able to step out of your business and let them do their jobs. That's why you hired them. If you don't, it's like, if you think your spouse is cheating on you, you may as well just leave them. Right? You're never going to have the trust in the relationship that's necessary. It's the same with your executive team. If you don't think you can walk away from your business for 2 weeks, why do you have an executive team at all?
Yeah. When I talk to MSPs, 3 things keep them up at night. First is security. Second is human capital. They're afraid that the tech's going to leave, they're not going to replace. Third is growth. How are they going to grow? Does that surprise you?
No. Everybody tries to do it cheap first, right? Whether it's sales and they hire somebody paying them less than what I would call a comfort wage, right? Nobody performs well when they're worried about how they're going to pay their rent and keep the electricity bill on and buy diapers. So if you're not paying your employees enough that they can comfortably live without commission, you're not paying them enough, you're never going to get good sales talent that way. You're going to get HR nightmares that hop from job to job. Nobody makes a vertical move unless they are an HR nightmare or they're working for somebody who is just tragic. And in that case, do they have the skills that you need? Have they been given the education that they require? I would say no. So we're not investing in training. We're not doing anything for continuing education. We're kind of thinking like, how can I keep this as inexpensive as possible? How can I pay my tax as least as possible? Who wants to work for a company like that? Like there is a lot of, to go on Reddit for 5 minutes and watch people complain about the entrepreneurs that pay their salaries. Like, yeah, they don't know what it's like on our side of the bench, but why don't you look at the efficiencies that you can create within your business? Where are you wasting money? Where are you doing things that don't necessarily need to be? Sorry, I don't know, are we live here? Can you edit this part out?
No, you can't. We're not live.
My point is, when we go into a company, we're able to find efficiencies and cost savings almost immediately. Everybody's doing some dumb stuff that doesn't need to be done the way it's being done. You can eliminate some costs, you can raise the salaries without impacting your own take home. And let's talk about that for a minute. Why aren't you paying yourselves? Like one, your sales rep should be paid better than you. They should be making so much money that you're angry every time you write that check, but then you look at your P&L and you're like, oh yeah, they should be the best paid person in your company. Yet you want to offer them $40,000 as a base salary, which is barely enough in any market to cover the basics of living. Try raising 3 kids on $40,000 a year.
If you were starting an MSP, what would you do?
I would not start an MSP, Joe.
Why wouldn't you?
Oh, security, honestly. There's just like, I think at this point, you've got kind of your $1 to $2 million shops that are either going to have to figure security out quickly, figure out pricing quickly, or they're just not going to be here in 5 years. There's just too many ways that things can fail now. So if you've been at $1 million for 20 years and you're still only paying yourself $60,000 a year, maybe it's time to get out of the IT business before somebody just shoots an enormous hole through your revenue, right? Private equity is happening everywhere, not just in our space. I've seen so many MSPs who had healthy P&Ls. Private equity comes along, buys 2 or 3 of their clients, and boom. Now they have to lay off 5 or 6 people.
Has private equity hurt or helped MSPs?
It depends on what side of the equation you're on. Is private equity, when they buy an MSP, do they help them? I think it depends on what you want as an MSP owner. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get rich. There's nothing wrong with wanting a really good exit. There's nothing wrong with not wanting a legacy. Right? Like not everybody cares what happens to their team after they sell. That's okay. I'm not going to hate on them for that. But if you're going to sell to private equity, you have to understand that changes are going to happen. If you want to take your team and protect them, maybe a private equity exit isn't always the way to go. There's going to be synergies, and that means they're going to fire some people. But frankly, they're probably the people that you should have fired.
You get excited about it.
I would go into M&A full time, except for the fact that I can't stand watching businesses being picked apart afterwards. Like, this is your baby. You built it for 20 years. I understand, right? But you're not thinking logically about it. Why don't you deserve a payday? I don't understand why MSPs are so ashamed of the idea that they could have wildly profitable businesses and get life-changing money at the end of it. Why don't you deserve generational wealth? Of course you do. We all do. What the hell are we doing here? Why are we working so hard? I didn't see my daughter for like the first 6 years of her life.
Wow.
Is that for nothing? No, I want to make money. And you should too, MSPs, wherever the camera is.
Carrie, I love your insight. I love your perspective. Always love seeing you at shows. I've known you for, I don't know, 15
12 years.
something like
At
that.
least, yeah.
Yeah, you and your sister. And thanks so much for your time today.
No, it was a pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
You be well.
You too.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with 1 or 2 of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. podcast information. The video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.